So yeah, let's have this conversation. You know, as far as you're building your chef empire.
Yeah.
But talk about the backstory as far as where it started. South Africa, a country that we've heard so much about from so many different angles and aspects. What was your experience in South Africa, and what made you leave to come to America?
So South Africa's home. I'm sure you guys know what home is like. You know, that's where your heart is. But you know, let's wind back a little. So I actually started off as a ballet dancer for the South African Ballet Theatre. Became a soloist. Was the first dancer of color to ever do a lead role. So Don Q, Nutcracker, Swan Lake. I'm sure you've heard of those.
Yeah, we've heard of those.
Of course. And I guess after a couple of years, I was like, well, this was interesting. You know, I kind of wanted to expand my horizons and do something else, because I was like, I mean, I'm going to probably do another lead role, probably get uglier toes. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I resigned and went into television. And so worked for one of the top lifestyle magazine shows in South Africa. So traveled around the world, doing junkets, interviewing people, eating a lot of food, which was absolutely amazing. And I guess that's where I kind of like fell in love with food from there. I remember going to Italy on a brand trip and just like loving everything. We went to like Parma, where they make Parma ham, where they make Parmesan. It was just like insane. And I just remember coming back going, I really love food and I kind of like want to pursue it. I then did MasterChef and then got into the top 6. And then when I left the competition, dramatically crying, like, you know, I was like, this is what I want to do. And this is the career.
We just can't like breeze over the MasterChef thing. Like,
right.
I felt like you were going to breeze over. We can't breeze over that.
Right.
So, I mean, from TV to eating the foods, what happens in between? Do you decide that I'm going to study culinary, or did you go to school where you trained, or was like some people are just naturally gifted at this? Are you one of those people?
Well, I am that part, but I was just super hungry as a ballet dancer, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to eat for the rest of my life. So that's why I decided, no, I'm kidding. That wasn't the reason. But I think I went to culinary school after MasterChef all of like 3 months.
Oh, you went there without it?
No, yeah, I went there without it.
Wow.
You know, and so I decided, okay, well, this is what I want to pursue. So let me like hone my skill and get better. I hated chef school. Like, I was like, I don't want to read about how to make a souffle. I want to go and make a souffle. And so at the time, because I'd worked in television, I had quite a few friends who were who owned restaurants. And so I was like, hey, can I come through and chop a little onion and do a little something and kind of hone my skills? And that's where I kind of got my grounding. And it was who's still a mentor, Tori, was just really great at kind of like saying, okay, cool, you could come in and just learn as much as you can. And so from there, that led into like the TV shows, and then kind of like it grew from that. Yeah.
So when was the transition to America?
The transition to America was always in the pipeline for me. I think I always knew like this is, you know, if you want to, particularly from an entertainment perspective, whether it was like a cooking show or whatever it was media wise, for me at the time, America was like the hot, like this is where if you're going to make it big, even if it was just one state, it's going to be much easier to kind of, you know, get into the continent, get into London, get into the UAE, wherever you want to take your brand. And so in 2023, I, you know, did the great move to New York, and I kicked my butt. Ooh, gosh, it was so hot in the city. And everyone's like, you know, you're either New Yorker or you're not. It took me 2 years to realize, brutally bruised, that I'm not a New Yorker, and I'm okay with it, that I'm not a New Yorker. And then went back to South Africa and kind of thought about like what I was going to do with my life and kind of rebranding. I launched a brand of condiments that are available in South Africa, and we're bringing them here to the United States. Have a cookware line as well, which is available on HSN, so here in America as well. Kind of like we looked at it kind of like where you going to go, Lorna? You know, like, are you going to stay in South Africa, or are you going to try to find another home, so to speak? You're going to try another state. And then I remember Brand South Africa had an event that was happening in Atlanta, and it was my first time coming to Atlanta. And when I arrived, it was just like a this is it.
This is
you
the
know?
place.
Yeah, it just felt like home, you know. And I guess like we were speaking earlier, just like the black excellence, the southern hospitality. You know, in New York, like if something happened to you, people are just on their phones, just keep walking. You know, in the South, people are like, hey, how you doing? I'm good, I'm great. You know, and then have a conversation.
Yeah.
And so I love that. You know, an Uber driver would be like, how you doing? You good? And I'm like, wow, people still exist. With some kind of humanity in them, you know. And so I think for me that resonated with me because South Africa is very similar to Atlanta. Well, Johannesburg in particular.
What was the lessons learned from coming to New York? Obviously, when you think fine dining, a lot of people think New York. I think you had it as your number one place, number one. So it's a lot of okay,
No,
a lot of competition. I mean,
it is
the home of Michelin stars and all these things. What did you learn coming here before you said, "Yeah, I got to go back to South Africa"?
I learned how to live smarter. I think like New York teaches you how to hustle. Like it's like, but hustling on another level. You know, it's funny because Joburgers will go, oh, you know, if you've lived in Joburg, you can live anywhere in the world. Nope. Hold that thought. If you've lived in New York, you can live anywhere in the world. You know, I think if anything, New York taught me to definitely live smarter, like, you know, yeah, like hustle, like a hustle lifestyle, which, you know, I was like, it's tough. You know, I don't live like this in South Africa. I'm living like this in New York. What the hell am I doing here? But anyway, I survived. You know, I'm alive. Here I am.
You live to tell the story.
Tell the story. That's a fact.
Exactly.